Yes, people. Welcome back to GNA TV. I'm your host, Jem. Let's cue the intro.
Know how I'm here, and it's you that I want to need. Feel your heartbeat. Feel somewhere you're looking good. Feel your heartbeat. Feel somewhere you're looking good.
Yes, people. Welcome back to GNA TV. It's that second Global View show. My man Alex, the Euro expert, is with us again today to break down everything to do with transfers, Chelsea, Tuchel, and we've also got Indiana with us as well. How you doing, boys? You all right? All good?
All good, man. All good.
Very
Thanks
good,
for having
thank
me
you. Again, thank you for having me on.
Just going to go through some of these chats because there's 8 people here already, which is quite impressive. Yep. So, hey, Strip Bear. Hey, Rocco. Hope you're well. Kieran, big up to you, my man. Kieran Tarbuck. Jake McAllister's in the house as well. Chelsea fan. How you doing, my guy? Right. Alex, let's delve into it, shall we? Let's talk about Chelsea and Tuchel and the game yesterday. Do you feel after yesterday's performance that even though you'd only been there for, say, less than 24 hours, that the players kind of implemented and showed the style of football that Tuchel wants to play moving forward in such a short space of time?
I think he did a little, yeah. I think obviously he had such a limited time, and it's impossible to kind of say what was his coaching and what was more the new manager bounce, right? We see it with Watford every time. We see it all the time with Chelsea. When you get the new manager, the club just the team usually booms forward, has that new burst of energy. So maybe we can say when Tuchel probably hasn't a lot of time to work and put in a great press, but at the same time, I'm not sure if you guys managed to catch the clips going round as well of Chelsea losing the ball and within 2, 3, 4 seconds, instantly winning it back. So it's hard to say exactly where it comes from. But I do think what Tuchel really did do was give him a bit more confidence. I know by the end of the game, they were beginning to falter a bit more. There was some good analysis shown of how there was opportunities for forward passes and they were slightly hesitant to take them. But yeah. I think Tuchel clearly has already put an arm around each of the squad. I think I saw already he's made an effort to speak to absolutely everyone, no matter their age and the status in the team. So I think it's been clearly a positive effect. That being said, it's harsh to expect much from him. And I'm not sure if we'll touch on it, but I couldn't believe some of the headlines and the things being said already about Tuchel. It almost felt like he'd been criticised more than Frank Lampard's entire tenure.
Yeah,
and that's not. Yeah, it's not even. Go on.
How do you feel? And Indiana, I'm going to bring you in this as well. Obviously, did you watch a game in Indiana? Yes, I didn't even ask you. Did you watch a Chelsea game?
Yeah, I did. I watched a lot of it. Yeah.
You did. Yeah. After the game, it seemed like a lot of the pundits, the Michael Owens, other than Rio Ferdinand, were very critical of Tuchel. Do you think it's true, and also the media as well? Do you think it's true that the media and the pundits, especially from the UK, are so defensive of Lampard that, in fairness, they're trying to just set up Tuchel for failure, basically? Do you think that is the case at the moment? Because there's been a lot of bad crap talking about Tuchel. He's only been here for like 1 day already. So why is that? Do you think it's just because it's a bit of sour grapes with the whole Lampard thing?
It's because it's Frank. It's because it's Frank Lampard. He's a English legend of the game. I mean, there's the only reason he got that job is because of his relationship with Chelsea. That's the reason why he got that job. So the English media are the worst in the world for me. They're terrible. They're so biased. How can you judge a new manager who's been there for 36 hours or something? I think that's mad. I think that's madness. With Frank, we know what it was. Everybody could see what the problems were. In terms of Chelsea yesterday, new manager bounce was massive for them. They were low on confidence. They have been all season. You've got a great squad there. There's no surprise to me that these players were up for the game. They've got a new manager. They all want to fight for their positions to get a game. Impress the manager. I don't think Tuchel would have done much. He didn't have time to do much. He's implemented no systems, nothing. That's time on the training ground, and you know, videos, tactics, everything. There's a lot of work to do to implement those properly. But you've got a great squad, so it never surprised me at all that you looked quicker on the ball. Your recoveries were a lot quicker, and actually playing for each other is the first time I've seen them unified for a long time, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think that was well said. And just to hit on the media thing, I mean, I before this week where it felt like a nuclear bomb went off, I was a lot more kind to the media in terms of, in a way, I think we're the media. We could get a job somewhere, and all we are just people trying to get the facts right. Yeah. So my head was thinking, when people blame the media, it's almost like, oh, they're looking for someone to blame. This week's really opened my eyes in terms of that. Some of even people like Simon Johnson for The Athletic straight away he wasn't outwardly criticising him, but putting these sort of passive aggressive tweets out there and things. And Jem, you're really right to mention about the pundits. So you said like Michael Owen was criticising him, everyone bar Rio Ferdinand. I mean, you'll probably know anyway, but for the audience, there's a very simple reason why Rio Ferdinand didn't criticise him. It's because Ferdinand's been lucky enough to meet Tuchel, and that's where a big interview came from. So it's almost as if I don't think it's coming from a state of the English media are out to take down Tuchel, but it's just it's a lack of research, and it's a fear, and it's what they don't know. They won't give the benefit of the doubt. Frank Lampard, they love this amazing manager, but they're not willing to research Tuchel. And I tell you what, Strip Bear was just commenting about the Chelsea ladies team. I've seen a few people actually recently say their manager, I believe Emma Hates, I hope I haven't butchered that, deserves a coaching role in the game. I wonder what the media would say about her. They're not going to go look at Chelsea ladies. They're just going to write her off. This is quite worrying.
You're right, bro. You're right. Before we move on, please smash the like button. There's 15 of you in here at the moment. Appreciate all your support as always. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe as well, people. It's a bit of a funny one. I think he's going to have it quite hard this season, if you want my opinion. I think you will have the media on his case. I think you'll have the pundits on his case. I think when he does play well and get it right, you won't see that much praise. They might say, yeah, he's doing okay. When we lose games, I think they will come down on him on a ton of bricks. That's what I think. I think they will just use the fact that, Chelsea got rid of Lampard too early. See, this is what happens when you bring in a manager halfway through a season. So, it is what it is. And one thing that really impressed me about Tuchel is how he's navigating the press at the moment. The way that he was talking after the game in saying, because they were talking about the formation and the players that were playing today. And he just said, I've only been here not even 24 hours. Do not think that this style or these players that play today are my players going forward. This is to say, I still need time to still understand these players. He absolutely adores N'Golo Kante. He even said it. He said he's been trying to get him over to PSG for years and years, and now he's got him as a player. He can't wait to actually work with him. He's saying and doing all the right things from what I can see at the moment. It's just that I need to see now, the proof in the pudding, as they say, innit? It to kick in and that. So, yeah, he's definitely looking forward to him. I mean, there's a lot of things that we done, Alex, in the game. You see, what caught my eye. We went from a 4-2-3-1 formation, and as we were playing, we switched into a 3-5-2. Did he do that a lot of PSG as well, where the sort of the fullback sort of push forward more?
Yes, actually, that's a really good point. Like you mentioned that, Jem. Even though Tuchel, we mentioned on Monday that Tuchel PSG as well, he didn't necessarily change formation much. He stuck with the 4-2-2-2. But one thing he did really look for was fullbacks. At the beginning of his second season, he said, you need to give me a new left back. I don't think Juan Pernat came in yet. It might have been his first season. He basically said, you need to give me a new left back. I can't work with Kazawa. He's solid, but he's not going to be able to push forward and get back in the way that I want him to. Tuchel is really dependent on his fullbacks in the sense that they're a bit, I think he views them as a vital cog. They can be they can be the extra man in attack and the saving grace in defence. And I think that's something he will look forward. But I think one thing we can bet on, I mean, I was certainly surprised to see Hudson-Odoi as a right wing back at times, but one thing we can definitely bet on is the fullbacks, whoever he chooses, will be important for Chelsea. And it'll be very important for his style of play.
Well, he didn't play Reece James yesterday. He admitted that he went on to using experience because he believed it was important, especially after arriving into a team where, again, he's still trying to understand individuals. So he's gone for characters. Do you think that's something we'll see a lot more of? Do you think there will be like the more of the Aspies? Obviously, Thiago Silva's got to play. People that are more experienced playing rather than him allowing the youth in Reece James and Mason Mount, who was dropped yesterday as well, actually coming through? I think he'll do a bit of both.
I think he'll do a bit of both, but long term he'll actually aim for the youngsters. Just a bit of insight on Tuchel, and I know a lot has been said that he's got the job because he's a German coach, but from the school of German coaches, they actually there's quite a leaning to youngsters. I'm sure you guys have heard of Ralf Rangnick, Tuchel's quite a good friend of his. Rangnick's actually really dependent on youngsters. The reason is because a young player, an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, they have a lot to fight for and they've got a lot of energy, which means they'll come into a Chelsea team or whatever team it is. They'll follow every tactical instruction. They'll follow every instruction. They'll be like a sponge and take it in. Whereas if you're taking in a 32-year-old, they're less likely to do that. They've made their money. What have they got to lose? They've already had their career. So they're
pre-programmed as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's you are molding players at that age. It's a lot easier to do. So I agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Aaron Wan-Bissaka at United. He's come in and he's come in under criticism for his attacking play, but it's not an idea of we should sell Wan-Bissaka. He's young. We know you can mold him into this attacking player. So I think players like Mason Mount, even though he was dropped yesterday, players like Reece James especially, they're going to be integral to Tuchel, depending on how long he goes there. Even if he stays there a year, I think you will see players like Mason Mount, Tammy Abraham play a lot more minutes than the experienced guys. And I think Azpilicueta, on that note, will be one of the first players to fall away just due to his age and his less mobility.
I hear you. Just moving on quickly. There was a question that I had up. Let's have a look here. Indiana, a gal saying, do you think, he's asked me, but obviously I'll ask you, do you think Tuchel has a disadvantage in many ways? Do you think he's up against it?
No, I think he's in a great position. He's got a great squad. This is a long pre-season for him. The squad's good enough to get you into Europe. He's a good enough manager to do that. These players are, again, young enough to mold. There's a good balance of youth and experience in there. I think you are more prepared for next season than most clubs in the Premier League, if I'm honest. I think this is a great way of bedding in, finding out more about the players and hitting it strong for next season. If I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be looking forward to it because I'd be thinking, we know what he's going to do. We know what to expect next season. He's got time to look at these players, work with them personally and identify targets for the summer. It's a great time to get him in. So no, I don't think he's at a disadvantage at all.
And just to hit on that, I think as well, Jem, as a long-term Chelsea fan, I'm sure you could. Can you remember the last time a Chelsea manager came in halfway through the season and stayed? Because I'm thinking Conte, he came in the summer, Sarri came in the summer, Lampard came in the summer, and even when Mourinho got fired, Gus Hiddink came in, Roberto Di Matteo came in for half a season, way back when. Benitez, giving Tuchel this extra half a season, lets him come in, as you're saying, Indiana, lets him come into next season way more prepared than we've ever seen a Chelsea manager come in before.
Yeah.
I hear that. I definitely hear you. Nearly 20 of you here. Please smash the like button. There's not enough likes at the moment, from what I can see. Please, people, please. We appreciate your support by doing that.
Just smash it and share it as well. Come on.
It's free, exactly. Yeah, appreciate it. Alex, you want to answer this question? Obviously, Malangsar is a player that's in France. It's a league that you study quite a lot. I mean, do you think he'll get his chance next season at Chelsea, or is he good enough to get in that team, looking at the current squad?
Okay, so Malangsar, I haven't managed to follow him on his loan spell at Porto so much. I have heard good things, especially in the Champions League. I think Sarr is a decent centre-back. Last season at Nice, he was a little error-prone, but he was playing in a side that was weak at times. Sarr is to give you a bit of better impression, because a lot of Chelsea fans would never seen him play. He's a very quick defender. He would slot in at centre-back and left-back. And the only times he'd make errors is a bit more defensively, which I think can be tuned out. The only worry I have for him is that Chelsea seem to have the most first-team centre-backs in the entire planet. You got Christensen, Rudiger, Zuma. I know Tomori's gone on loan, but he could be convinced to come back. Ethan Ampadu. Yeah. So if Sarr does come back and he impresses Tuchel, like I think to answer your question, mate, like, if he gets a chance next season, I think he will get a chance in terms of in pre-season. Tuchel will have a look at him, but I'm maybe not certain expecting him to play so much.
Yeah.
I hear you. Anyone want to add to that in any way? I mean, not much really. I mean, I haven't seen Malang Sarr, so I can't really comment too much about him. So it's one of them ones where Chelsea do this a lot, though. They buy players, they loan them out. A lot, 90% of the time, they don't tend to bring them back. A lot of the times, they don't really get back. Chelsea would rather go and buy players than actually look at their loanees and think, oh, actually, he's having quite a good season. Why don't we bring him back and have a go? And it might be partly to do with the money side of it, the income, having them on a loan contract agreement each and every season.
Yeah.
Sort of balances out the books, allows us to spend more, allows us to cover wages that we're currently paying at the moment. I don't know what their reasons are, but we do it. We do it a lot as a club. What's this, Ads? Ads, you are ultimately worried about... Ads, are you ultimately that worried about the defeat yesterday? Because to be fair, there's been crazy results all season. Do you still have hope of winning the league? As I mentioned,
well, obviously my hopes were never really as high as everyone else were. People saying 21 and 21. I think we are capable of winning the league. Do I think we will this season? No. That's plainly for the fact that City are just a dark horse, and they always are. It doesn't matter whether or not they have a bad season; they always have a great patch of form. And yesterday was shocking. It was shocking, and if we're not going to be consistent and ambitious consistently, then no, we don't have a chance, and the hopes aren't still going to remain there. So,
Indiana, what do you feel about that, mate? As well as a Man United fan.
For me, it's always been City's league to lose. They are the machine. They're scoring goals from their midfield, from everywhere, without Aguero. We know what this Man United side are. Ollie won't be happy with the players that he has. The club won't be happy. The drop-off from the first team is massive. So I expect there to be the right players brought in under Ollie in the summer. The target is still top four. It always has been, and it always will be at Manchester United with the Glazers. For most clubs.
I hear you. Big up Jan, who's in the chat. She says, big up to you guys. Like the video, please. Nice seeing you, Jan. We have to get her on soon, actually. I don't know when we're playing Man City, but definitely have to get her on soon. Big up the guys. How's everyone? Says Daniel. Big up to you, Daniel. Hope you're well. Question for the panel. What player you think Tuchel will try and bring from PSG to Chelsea, Alex? Do you think, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about Marquinhos in the papers. Do you think he would come Chelsea? Do you think anyone would come to Chelsea out of that squad? Oh,
good question. So you've kind of asked the two things in there. So is Marquinhos the one that Tuchel would want? Absolutely. Marquinhos would be Tuchel's ideal player, especially for Chelsea. Chelsea lack a DM who's going to sit. I know we've got Conte, but he's clearly a bit better box to box, more of a destroyer, right? Racing all over the pitch, getting tackles in. What Tuchel would like is a defensive midfielder who can sit back into a back three. And in Marquinhos, there's no one better in the world at that. Second part is, would he come to Chelsea? And I don't think there's ever a resounding no in football. Any player has a price. Doesn't matter who they are, unless it is a Francesco Totti or someone. But Marquinhos is, I think, the captain of PSG now. He's certainly captained on multiple occasions. He's more than happy in Paris. So dragging him to Chelsea from PSG will be like dragging him from out of his home. Besides him, if there's any other PSG players...
But Mbappe and Neymar and all of these people.
I mean, again, if Chelsea could get them, then yeah, but I don't think... It remains to be seen if they have the money for that. But I'm trying to think, maybe a Juan Bernat or someone as a backup left back for Chilwell. But I think the key target would have been Marquinhos.
Jan, that's a very long time. I actually want to try and get you. I'm going to talk to you out of here because obviously we've got the ladies' show. We're planning to do other things with it with other ladies of other rivals. So maybe you can come on one of the shows one day and and mix with the Chelsea girls. But I will definitely reach out to you on that one. We've got to get you on before that. I'm excited for Tuchel, man. I'm liking his interviews and press conferences, hoping he transforms this onto the pitch. And I agree. Like, it's good hearing him and listening. He's even said that he's confident in the squad that he's got, and he reckons he can make them title challengers. Not this season, I don't think, but as overall, he's looked at what he's got and he's thought, we can be a good team. Like, we could actually tick. If I can get them playing how I want them to play, we could be a problem. And I don't think anyone, even though we're in a bit of a bad position this season, I don't think anyone actually looks at Chelsea and thinks they're crap. They've got too much too many good players there. Do you know what I mean? It just needs someone to just get them to tick. And when it does, I think we will be frightening. I really do. You get Havertz playing. Havertz played very well yesterday in my eyes. Yeah, he was running up and down the pitch, one-touch football. He looked good. He did. He looked good. Get Timo Werner ticking. Get him going. You've got goals coming in. I know Indiana doesn't rate him as highly at the moment, but Indiana did say moving forward, he will get better. He did say that.
I think he's the ultimate system striker.
Yeah.
He's terrible in link play. Absolutely terrible. He's not going to link the play for you. And you need a manager who is going to work to his strengths if you're going to get the best out of him. Otherwise, you might as well just forget about him. I never understood that under Frank.
Yeah. And you're right. He has to work on getting the best out of all the players that Chelsea have got. But moving on from Chelsea, let's talk a bit about other teams. Alex, you got a couple of topics that you would like to highlight with us? Do you want to?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so we've got Ads and Indiana in here who are Manchester United fans. I haven't been able to look at the chat. I'm sure there are some in there. You guys, obviously last season you wanted Sancho in, and then you got Traore. You wanted a right winger who is going to be able to offer something on the right. It's clearly your weakest side. We spoke about Wan-Bissaka briefly. On the left, you're amazing. Got Martial and everyone. I have got... to say he is a wild card, I can see it. Now, are any of you guys aware about what's been happening at Marseille this season?
No, tell me.
No, not really.
Okay, so Marseille have had one of the worst seasons in their history. They're actually close to the top of the league, but their play's been awful. I mean, if you imagine stagnant Chelsea at times, combine that with Sheffield United's lack of chance creation, you've got Marseille. They've been appalling. They've been getting 1-0 wins all over the place. And Andre Villas-Boas came out and said that Marseille were just... he used a lot of swear words to describe their Champions League performance in the press. He's came out and said recently and threatened the team, so if you don't start winning, I'm resigning. It's basically all falling apart. Now, the one player that has been performing is Florian Thauvin, the former Newcastle flop, as you all know. This season he has 6 goals and 7 assists, playing sort of from the right and in the centre. But he's 28 years old, possibly 29. I think he actually fits very well into United. Obviously, you've got Traore coming through, and he will grow into a very, very talented winger. There's been a lot of talk about him for years, actually. Now, Thauvin, obviously, the minus would be you don't want to buy anyone, which means you can't buy a Sancho, right? You don't want to hinder yourselves with an old player, so you can't buy the next superstar, right? Thauvin at Marseille, thankfully, won't do that. Even though he is about a player worth probably 20, 30 million, Marseille are falling apart completely. And their owner, Frank McCaw, has actually come out and said, he came out and said after a recent loss, anyone who doesn't want to be here, in the next 48 hours, you have until you get out of this club. Now, yeah. And it wasn't as I think he even said something like, it doesn't matter. I'm not talking like, come to me, you don't want to leave, you want to get a contract extension. No, if you want to leave, I'll make sure you go. And it was unclear if Thauvin was one of those players, but he's been under controversy this season because he's been falling out with Dimitri Payet. And it's been kept under wraps pretty well, but Villas-Boas has recently asked about it, and he said, well, what I will tell you is that Payet and Thauvin will not be going on holiday anytime soon. So what I'm saying is that Thauvin is close to being out. He is a quality right winger. Even this season, I said 6 goals, 7 assists. It's okay, but this is in a really bad team. I think at Manchester United, you could get him on the cheap, and it will possibly be a very good backup. Even if you do get Sancho in, he'd be a nice backup, especially when Traore gets the more minutes and is able to come in more, especially if you get him on like a 3-year contract. So I think, what do you guys think? What do United fans think about that?
Firstly, I think our target in the summer will be a striker. I think that's priority number one. Listen, it's not going to surprise me if Martial goes in the summer. It's not. I could see that happening. Sancho obviously is still being spoken about.
Yes,
the
it
price is going to drop, and if that's the case, that's good business from Man United not to pay the money. I think under Solskjaer, I think he just wants to get the right players in, and that's what I want to see. I'd rather miss out on signings. I've heard nothing about links from Manchester United to this player. There's links to every other player in the world, but I've never heard of links for this. I don't know I haven't watched the guy play really. Would I like a player to come in with more experience? I have no issue with that. I want. My thing is leaders. We need more leaders at Manchester United. That is where we struggle. We don't want to be carrying anyone. So, listen, I'm very much in the camp of, if this is a player that they're identifying to come into the side, I'm good with it. Can I see them buying a player instead of Sancho? Yes, but it will be a marquee signing.
Yeah,
It's Manchester United. That's where I am with it.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think with United as well, you get linked to every player on the planet. It can be.
Yeah.
I think clubs just look at it and go, right, we need our player to get 5 million more in value. Oh, he's been linked to Man United. There we go. We'll get 50
that's
million
right.
for
Yeah.
him. Really, really frustrating from your guys' perspective. But yeah, I think a striker would be a good thing. What do you guys think of Martial this season? Because I've not been able to keep up with him so much. He gets memed a lot. Fill me in.
Go on, Joe.
Go on, Indian. No, go on, mate. Go on. It's your team.
He's not a striker for me. He hasn't got the instincts. It's very forced. Unless he's full of talent. He has the talent, but there's a switch with him. It's a choice. It's a choice whether to play or not. Again, he's not a leader. I feel like, to me, it seems like since Cavani came in, instead of competing for his position, he's just sulked about it. I don't know. He's not got the Manchester United attitude. I don't think he ever has. That's. I've always said the same thing about him, which is why I said earlier. I believe he will leave at some point. Mourinho clocked this early. Mourinho wanted him out. It's Rashford and Martial. In terms of talent, Martial is levels above him. In terms of ceiling, Rashford is way above Martial because of his desire, his commitment, what he offers to the side. You can't carry players at top clubs. And I feel like he's being carried. He needs to go to a side where he feels like the number one. And that's not possible at Man United. That's not the way it's going to work.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's got abundance of talent, but you're just not going to see it in the Man United shirt. I don't think you'd see it probably anywhere, because for me, he has a mentality issue. Something here. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. The difference with, like Indiana said, the difference with Rashford and him is Rashford, even though he can put in poor performances, he digs deep. He always digs deep. Do you know what I mean? He might not be as talented as Martial in terms of like the world class category, but he thrives to be that, and that's why his goals scored at the age of 22, 23 are so high, because he's so hungry to become and be this individual. Martial, if he could have the same attitude as Rashford, could be lethal. He could be one of the best. Yeah, that's not even a joke. The guy is so talented, but he's just not going to do it. I don't know why. He's just not going to do it. But what did you want to say about
Jim? That's the problem.
Yeah. What did you want to say about Declan Rice to this comment?
Yeah, no, that's just this is one of the most scandalous comments I've ever seen. I don't get the gas about Rice. I'm honestly sick of it. It's like, what can Rice do? I know Rice is a good player. I'm not going to discredit what he's done at West Ham, but there's a difference, like she just discussed, about players at different clubs. West Ham are not the same level as Man United. will he present the same? Will he present the same leadership and what he brings to the team at United? I don't think he will, and that's why I don't want him, because he's not world class. I've heard people with their own mouths in this community say he's world class when he isn't. All right, he just isn't. I think he's just above average. He doesn't meet the level or importance, and he won't if he does come to United. And yeah, that's all I've got to say, man. It's just a stupid comment.
Alex, question for you. Dembele to Man United seems close last summer, so maybe there's something there. Dembele when he was in France was very lethal. He had a very good season, didn't he, over there? I mean, is he a player that, if Man United are going to get a striker, which Indiana is hoping that they do, would he be a good player to come in for them?
Oh, is this Musa Dembele?
Yeah.
I think Musa's actually. You might have missed it. In the last week, Musa just finalised a deal to Atletico Madrid.
Oh wow! I know he's on loan.
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
on loan, but I believe there is an option to buy. So United might not get Dembele, but even if they do have that chance, I don't think Dembele is. I think you'll get the same frustration as with Martial. Dembele can go missing at times, and sometimes he turns on. Nice comment from Ben. He can turn on the skill and can turn it off. Just to talk about Rice quickly, though, because I think Rice suffers from the Mason Mount effects. Sometimes you get some people saying he's terrible, and other people saying he is the best player in the world. When I think average is a harsh word to say, but I think the reason there's clubs that are buzzing about Rice is I don't think he's explosive, and I don't think he is world class right now. But it's the fact, I guess, that he's been playing Premier League football for 2 to 3 years now, and it is hard to get a player playing regular football like that. So maybe he might, if he moves to United now, he might make a lot of mistakes. But I think it definitely. I put it this way: I think Chelsea completely writing him off of buying him at all. I think that's a stupid decision from Chelsea. I definitely think he has the potential to be a top DM, but I definitely understand frustrations with him, especially when people compare him to some of the best defensive mids you've got in the world. Like he's not a Fernandinho or someone like that.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Nearly 30 of you here. Please smash the like button, please, and subscribe, please, as well. If you're new here, please subscribe. Just something we're going to touch on very quickly. Going to shout out TalkMU, who has actually made an image on Twitter, which he's tagged me in, which I've just retweeted. He wanted me to mention the Rice tweet, which is obviously against racism at the moment. Says this has to stop, and the only way we can get the message out is by showing racism is not welcome. Please go and follow that. If you check my last tweet, you'll see it on there. He's I've just retweeted it now. So if everyone could retweet that, we'd really appreciate it. Obviously, racism is something that no one condones in football whatsoever. Not just football, in society is probably the better word. But yeah, big up to you, TalkMU, for doing that. And people go and check that out, and get retweeting that as well. Moving on from Man United, who else do you want to talk about, Alex? Let us in. You were saying Leicester. You sort of want to talk a bit of West Ham. There was
West Ham's quite a hot topic. So I brought up Talvan there. He's not been linked as much, so that was more of a nice little suggestion. West Ham, though, they're similar to United. They're getting linked to everyone under the sun. Which is not a surprise when you've got ex-West Ham employee tweeting out all of their transfer business, which I still can't believe is happening in 2021. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But there's 2 targets that seem to have been signalled out. Hwang Hee-chan from RB Leipzig and Boulaye Dia from Stade Reims in France. Now, I mean, obviously West Ham, we don't want to go and spend half an hour on this, but just to give a bit of background. So Hwang Hee-chan, he moved from RB Salzburg. He's moved within the Red Bull system. He's a bit like a second striker. In Austria, he got 11 goals, 10 assists, playing alongside Haaland last season. In Leipzig, he's barely played over 200 minutes, really not played as much. So there's talk of West Ham potentially loaning him. Now, for West Ham fans, I know you can look at some videos on YouTube and look at highlights, and they can make Hwang Hee-chan they can make him look like a superstar, but I think if you were to get him in now, you'd be bitterly disappointed. He's 25 years old. When you think of a RB Leipzig player, you're thinking like 18, 19. This guy is pretty well established, and he can't really break into the Leipzig team yet. And also, if you loan him, I think it's a bit of a waste of wages. He's on a 5-year contract. If you try and purchase him now, then you probably won't get an option to buy, and you're just going to be wasting wages on a loan. Boulaye Dia, though, is a player that not just West Ham can look at, but any top team can, whether he's a backup or not. To give a bit of background on him, so he's a Senegalese striker who plays in France. He's 24 years old, and he only made the step up to professional football a couple of years ago. In a similar way to Didier Drogba, actually, really, really late bloomer. But Dia is a really strong striker. He's rather quick on the ball, but what's impressive about him is his finishing. And I think if West Ham were to purchase him either now or in the summer, which is a bit more likely, they'll be getting straight away one of the better strikers in the Premier League. Not on an Aguero level, but someone who will grab at least 10 goals in his first season. He's already suited to Premier League football. He's trialled in Wales when he was younger. He's used to the physicality. And I've compared him to Drogba, and just a nice quote for anyone as well, because I know while Jen kind of gets me on to talk about other leagues, some of these can be written off quite easily, right? I mean,
Yeah.
French football can be written off as the league where PSG wins it every year. But obviously it is more complex than that. You guys are clear. You guys think more clearly than that, more openly. So I'm sure I don't have to convince you guys, but anyone else does need convincing that we should take these teams seriously. If any Chelsea fans are here, big fanboys of Drogba, be worth reading our autobiography. His autobiography. He writes a good couple of chapters on how he found the second tier of French football and the top tier of French football twice as hard as Premier League football, because it's so physical and so demanding that it's like it's like a whole different world there. So go on, Jam, what you got to say?
No, go on, Alex. Go on. Finish.
While the Premier League is obviously, it's got the better players, the bottom team of French football won't beat Sheffield United or Newcastle. It's definitely a league you should take seriously. And if Dia does move from West Ham, then West Ham fans, you can be excited. He'll be a top player.
Well, West Ham, let's be serious. West Ham at the moment are on fire, aren't they? They're winning games. They're getting higher and higher up the league with David Moyes as well, which is even more shocking when you think about it.
Talk about new contracts for him as well, Jim.
Yeah, exactly. He deserves it.
Do you want a fun fact about David Moyes? I would never have thought of him doing this, but apparently he's really inspired by RB Salzburg and Leipzig. He's singled them up directly and said that they're the sort of club that he wants to copy. But yeah, what do you guys think of the way West Ham played? Because I tell you what, I'll openly admit that the start of this year, or the start of last year in 2020, I predicted them to get relegated.
Yeah, everyone did. I think everyone did. They looked. It didn't make sense that I had all, because you've always looked at West Ham and thought they've got good players. They should never be there. They always should be in the top 10 at least. You know what I mean? And then obviously they had that shocking season last season, and it was like, is it the manager? Is it the players? Are they not as good as we think they are? There were so many questions about West Ham, and then you see them this year, and it's like they're a different animal. But they actually have individually good players. Once you can get the best out of them, and they tick. Antonio, look at him; he's a beast at the moment up front.
Yeah,
he's a beast. Declan Rice is playing well. Souček next to him is a very good player. So it's a good overall good team. Is there anything we could talk about with regards to Liverpool? Because we've got Liverpool fans there, Alex. Is there any news or anything?
So obviously Liverpool are a bit more, I guess they're a bit more dry this window in terms of direct transfer news. But the one link that it's a little older, but I'll touch on it in case anyone wants to know about it, is Sven Botman, the Lille centre-back who was linked heavily with Liverpool, to arrest any doubts over him. If Liverpool were to get him now or at the end of the season, I think that's their defence sorted out for the next 10 years. Now, it's hard to talk about players and not overrate or overhype them, right? Like, I could come on here, give you 50 names and say they're going to be the next big thing, or these are the next big thing. It's good to be realistic about players.
Yeah.
And it's tough. And Botman is tough because he is in Liga and he's won. It took him to take away from just me saying he's amazing or ridiculous stats. Botman played 90 minutes of all of his first 10 games. I think he's played every minute of every Liga match this season. And Lille, to give a bit of background, they're a bit like Southampton. They enjoy some possession, but they like to press, and they do daring passes. It took Sven Botman 10 league games to misplace a pass of any length.
Wow. Wow, that's
Yeah, and it
That's
wasn't just it wasn't just like he was passing sideways or whatever. I think he actually had a couple of near assists where he'd get balls in behind, but he's so tidy on the ball. He's 21 years old, and I was speaking with a big Dutch fan earlier this morning, and Ajax fans are still determined to say he's going to flop. He's going to flop because Ajax let him go from their youth system, but Botman just keeps proving them wrong, and. Lille at the moment are similar to every team in France. They're in a bit of a financial crisis. So in the summer, you could see a lot of Lille players to possibly leave, which is why every global future that'll come on will see a lot of Lille players linked.
Lille seem to be that type of team that get all these good players. When I think of decent players, I think of people like Eden Hazard, who came from Lille when we first got him. You know, they seem to bring out this decent talent, array of talent. You know, you got to look at the players they've got now. Some decent individuals. They're playing well in the French league. It's like, you know, they don't keep their players. It's a bit like Dortmund. You know, like Dortmund, where they have the Lewandowskis, the Götzes, the Hummels. They brought them all. If they would have kept them players, they could have probably won a trophy by now. Do you know what I mean? They could have won the title. I'm talking about more say trophy, a title. Do you know what I mean? Which has always been Bayern Munich.
Yeah, the last time they won was in 2011, which is what got Hazard his move to Chelsea. And Lille, I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm more of a neutral. Lille are the closest team I've come to support this season. They're a joy to watch. But like you were saying, Jem, the individuals they got churning out at the moment, Jonathan Bamba, Renato Sanchez has turned his career around. I think this summer you'll see their team get picked apart. And we won't go into it again because we touched on it a couple of weeks ago. But they're also a good selling team. So I think what you'll see is if anyone spends 50 million on Aboubakary Soumaré, they're a team who've been ripped off because he, out of all the talent at Lille, I mean, Indiana, you're a United fan. I know you've been linked with him. He's he's only playing at the moment because Sanchez is injured. He's not.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not really the top player. But
I thought he was a top player. He was a top-rated player. Everyone was talking very highly of Soumaré. You know, I've seen him against Chelsea.
Yeah.
In the other couple of games, but nothing.
A lot of the hype around him came from, I'm not sure you guys remember. Do you remember a couple of seasons ago when Newcastle had a 40 million bid rejected for him? It was a big number, and they got it. They had their bid accepted by Lille, but Soumaré said no. Since then, the hype train has kind of not died down. And what Soumaré is a bit like, you know, Andre Gomez, who's brilliant on the ball, but doesn't necessarily do much with it, like a couple of goals and assists maybe. Soumaré's had 3 goals and assists over the past 3 years. He's not watertight defensively. I've seen Indiana's face, was brilliant there. You've been billed as getting him as a Matic replacement. If you were to compare him to United, he does less defensive work than Bruno Fernandes.
There you go.
Most do in that side, to be fair.
That's true. He's a hard-working player, Bruno, but he's done half the defensive work as Matic as well. So if United get Soumaré, he won't really come good for a couple of years. So yeah, but not to go too heavily into, because we touched on a couple of weeks ago. But for anyone who didn't know about that, yeah.
I'm just going through some of these questions because obviously people were asking questions as well. So they've asked about Renato Sanchez to Liverpool, Alex. I mean, someone again, I'm assuming you know quite a bit about it. He's been given big opportunities. He's flopped in the past. He's obviously doing, from what I understand, okay again. What's the situation with him?
Okay, so we'll go into him, and I'll try and make it a bit easier to understand, because rather than talk about how good he is in the French league, I'll talk about why, like you mentioned, Renato Sanchez's stock has been low because he's flopped at Swansea and Bayern Munich. Now, guys, imagine if you're playing Mateo Kovacic as a centre-attacking midfielder, someone who is a good dribbling, but isn't
no end product.
No end product. Now, Renato Sanchez has got a bit more end product than him. He's a very good passer in the final third, but Sanchez is very similar to Kovacic. He's great at coming deep and escaping pressure, and that's why in Lille in France he's one of the top players for dribbles per game and total completed dribbles. So I was going to try and pronounce your name, mate, but I don't want to butcher it. About Renato Sanchez to Liverpool he would actually be probably a very good player. I mean, we've seen Liverpool's recruitment policy. It's hard to name a flop, and Sanchez would not break that mold, I think. He'd be a bit, to compare him to a player now, he'd be a bit like Naby Keita, but certainly more dynamic, I think. He's very good, not just on the ball, but lots of runs in behind, line breaking positions as well. So Renato Sanchez to Liverpool again would be a solid transfer.
And
I
cheaper.
hear you. Cheaper. Yeah.
Cheaper than
Ben
Keita.
Russell said, yeah, cheaper than Le Havre have the best youth system. I don't even know who they are. Who the hell are they? Is that-
Right. I'll name a couple of players. Riyad Mahrez, Paul Pogba, both the Mendes. They all came from that club. It's not to go into, it's not the place, but it's a second tier French side, which has been producing talent for ages. If you want to learn more about it, actually, I made a video on them. You can type in content to Aspire Soccer Le Havre, and you can have a look there. But Ben's clearly done his research, brought up a good point there. If you want to hear about Paul Pogba's childhood story, that's the place to go.
Interesting.
Can we touch on
Interesting.
Dortmund at all?
Go on,
After the comments, Jem. I just want to touch
Yeah,
on
no, go
Dortmund and what's going on there. There's a lot with Sancho, Haaland. What might happen with him? What their plans are? Are they looking for targets? Do they expect them both to stay? Do they expect them both to leave, or just one of them? I did hear a rumor as well that they were going to move Sancho on because he's not happy, in order to offer Haaland a new contract. Those type of rumors. Where do you see Dortmund and what's going on?
It's a good point to bring up, Indiana, and it's probably you're gonna have to hide your smile a bit, because it's discreetly made Sancho look worse than he is. It's made his value plummet when it could have risen a lot more. What's happened at Dortmund is the manager, Lucien Favre, we know he got sacked. He's just been... Dortmund started the season very poorly. They played in a 3-5-2, and it was incredibly static, and they were continuously getting... If you remember Conte's last season at Chelsea, it was all forward, not creating, and getting caught out by counter-attacks. You might have missed it when things really kicked off is when Dortmund lost 5-1 at home to Stuttgart, a team that were newly promoted. And so what's happened there is that Sancho obviously had his head turned a little by United. There's no doubt in that. It's clearly made an impact on his performances. But players like Haaland and Sancho, seeing their performances slightly dip, Haaland a little less, obviously, that's much more a victim of Dortmund's system failing this season, and they've not really had a good plan. And when they sacked Favre, obviously like Chelsea, they sacked Lampard. It's because on the same day they're going to bring in Thomas Tuchel. Dortmund sacked Favre and kind of went, well, I don't really know what we're going to do now. In terms of future things, though, I think Haaland will still stay another year there. He'll be looking to see what manager they bring in. But I think this could definitely spell the end of Sancho's time in Dortmund. I think his time was already running out, and the season's not filled in with confidence, especially with how they've handled the on the pitch things.
Ahmad's a PSG fan, and he's like, this guy knows more about the French league.
Do we know if they have targets then, Dortmund? Do we know if they're targeting players? Because I love the way they do business. I'm in terms of identifying players and bringing them in, and I just wanted to know if you knew of players that they were targeting and looking at as replacements for either, or just to add to their squad.
There's a player they're looking to replace Sancho with. You might have heard of Daniel Marlon from PSV, a name that gets touted around all over the place. What Dortmund are looking at him actually specifically to replace Sancho when he leaves. Now, I think Marlon will be a downgrade on him, and Marlon's one of those names, a bit like when Bergwijn was at PSV, and everyone was saying, "Look at this amazing Dutch talent. We need to see him make the move to the Premier League," and finally Tottenham snatched him up. Marlon's a bit like that, but a lot less polished. He's put it this way, you don't want to see him at United yet. He's a bit like Martial. Some games he will be absolutely fantastic, and other games he will get 9-10 touches in total, not just inside the box, in total. But whoever Dortmund buy, I'm sure, and yeah, you can agree that whoever they buy, they're going to turn into a superstar.
And that's what they're so good at doing, and it's a credit, because look at the managers they've had as well. Because the managers they've actually had, I've got styles and systems that work, and they might not win titles, but they look sexy. They're sexy to watch, aren't they? You watch them play. They're attackive. They're structured. They all understand their roles in a team. Do you know what I mean? And it's great. It's great to watch. I mean, you look at Lewandowski, for example, when he was back here, like this. when he originally came to Dortmund, like no one really knew him. He just knew he was a Polish striker that came over, and he literally got changed into being like, was he under Klopp? He was as well, wasn't he? If
Yeah,
I'm
he
right.
was under Klopp. Yeah,
Klopp managed to get the best out of him, didn't he? Really, and now look at him. You know, in Bayern Munich, probably one of the best strikers I've ever seen in football, in my eyes as well. You know, it's you got to take your hat off to him. You really have to. But Alex, what about Patson Daka and Berisha from RB Salzburg? Do you think United should be also looking at them? Is what Velrich one says.
good question. Berisha, I'm not gonna pretend I know much about Berisha. Relatively new name on the scene. Daka though, again, he was linked to West Ham earlier this window, and West Ham fans were getting really excited because they're getting this hot young talent from Austria. He'll be lightning quick. He'll be amazing. He'll do all the things we want him to do. He won't yet. He's really young, and I think if United should definitely be looking at him. He's definitely a talent, and he's been rated really highly. In fact, I'm reading a book about RB Leipzig at the moment, released this year. Daka was identified as a talent back in, I believe, Mali in 2016, and so their interest of him's gone really far back. They made sure he was basically the crown jewel in their scouting system in Africa. But Daka he's not very well polished yet. He scored a lot of goals in Austria, but even players like Mane, even players like Hwang Hee-chan, who we've mentioned earlier, even like players like Forsberg, they take the Austrian league is a league you need to take time to adapt to. I mean, the Austrian league has stuff that happens in there you don't see happen too often. I'm not sure if you guys caught the news earlier in the lockdown. Bielsa spent all his time at Leeds scouting an Austrian defender in the Austrian league. He was a goalkeeper who's recently moved into the defence, which, I mean, credit to whoever that is. That's a sign of forward thinking. But
yeah,
I'm sure if he's playing against Daka, it's not the biggest test.
I hear you. You got another couple of questions here for you, actually. We'll fly through them very, very quickly. So we've got, finally, Alex, any news on OR? Are Juventus and Arsenal still in for him? Do we know? What's the situation?
He's had a couple of fallings out with Rudy Garcia, the Lyon manager this season. One where he got basically told to do another lap around the pitch, and he said, no, I'm not doing that. It was a bit of a mixed situation, but he's not going to bring an attitude problem. He's a really talented player. We'll rattle through the questions. Arsenal and Juventus, looking at him, could be very good. I mean, we know Ødegaard's recently moved to Arsenal. He's unlikely to make a permanent switch, at least anytime soon, maybe another year down the line. Aouar would be an upgrade at the moment. Aouar's a more polished product.
I agree. I think he's a very good player. What I saw of him in the Champions League last season, which is where he first caught my eye, he picks the ball up. It actually reminds me of Grealish a bit. The way he picks the ball up, and he's hot. You can't get the ball off him. He sticks to his feet. He runs with it, and if you do get the ball off him, it usually tends to be a foul.
Yeah,
you're like Grealish. He gets the ball, and you try and tackle him, and he just goes down. It's just like
that's actually a nice comparison. Yeah, he's a bit of a mix of it's a bit like Kovacic escaping pressure from defence, and actually, just as you mentioned, he is a lot like Grealish in the final third. Very
good player. Very, very good player. I'm surprised Arsenal, well, it's not surprised because it's Arsenal, but I'm surprised Arsenal didn't try and get that over the line along with Thomas Partey. But will Donnarumma be signing a new contract at AC Milan? It don't seem like it from what I've heard from the media outlets. It seems like he is looking to move away. I mean, does anyone know much about it? I
don't know too much about it, but I know that I feel like if it was going to be major news, we would have heard it by now. I mean, do you guys remember when he was looking for a new contract a couple of years ago, and AC Milan fans turned up to throw money at him? I feel like once that really breaks into news, we'll hear about it a bit more.
Yeah. Jim, let this guy say that Marquinhos will never happen. As a PSG fan, so he wants to hear you say it. Is there a chance that Chelsea Football Club will not sign Marquinhos? Is what he's saying, or do you think there is a chance?
There's always a chance, Ahmad, but as transfers go, this is one of the smallest chances you will get in football, just above Totti to Juventus.
And this is what you call comedy. You ready?
That's me. Poor London.
London is
red.
red. I've got a lot of respect for you, mate. But some of the stuff you come out with, bro, I've been reading. I haven't really brought it up because it's funny. But Fadil says he will join United. You can never write United off if they sell Martial. Like Indiana says, they will have the funds to probably break the transfer record.
There is Indiana. I'm not sure if you know. There's a bit of background on that. Before he moved to Dortmund, he was considering the move to United, but him and his dad decided it's just a year or two early. They didn't actually write it fully off.
Yeah. So the thing is people don't like Riola, but his dad does actually. Him and his dad do actually decide where he goes. Riola does work for them. So it made complete sense for him to go to Dortmund. It's the perfect club for him to be put on show, for him to develop. It was just perfect. I also didn't like the deal that was put forward with that release clause. Again, I'd love United. I would be happy if United bought nobody but Haaland in the summer. I would be happy. The kid is that good, and his relationship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah.
Ole loves the kid. He really does. He'd be perfect fit there. And I'd like United to do that before Cavani leaves. I'd like us to buy a striker when we're not desperate for one. That's when I want us to get one. So, over Sancho, before anybody asked the question, 100%.
Yeah, I think he's definitely something Man United need. If you look about where Sancho would play, you got Rashford, you got Green. I mean, you got Diallo now. Do you really need a Sancho to come in them positions? Probably not.
I think we do. I think we do need a player.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to get
is miles off, Jim.
You need an out-and-out striker.
Yeah.
You haven't got that. Someone that's going to go and bang in the goals.
There's plenty of tricky wingers. That's the thing. There's plenty of tricky wingers out there. There's very, very few instinctive, natural elite strikers. Very few. Most of them are over the age of 30.
Yeah, I agree.
Most of them are now. So Haaland's he's a special talent. You need to snap him up if you get the opportunity.
It would get in anyone's team. I don't think there's one person. Even he'd walk into Bayern Munich and he'd play there in my eyes as well. Like I think he's that good. I know Lewandowski's there, but he's starting to pick up a bit of age as well. So it's always an option. But Alex asks Alex CFC. Hey Alex, what about Zakaria from Bayer Leverkusen? Would he be a good option for Chelsea?
I'll keep it short. Great player, great going forward as a centre midfielder. Not the right fit for Chelsea. Chelsea already have. I mean, okay, he would be good if Chelsea already sorted out their defensive midfield, got up and maybe sorted out a backup right back in future for Reece James. Or it could be Dujon Sterling, who's very highly rated. Maybe good player, wrong time. I think for Zakaria, but very good to keep an eye on.
I agree with Axlin's talk. Haaland seems like the perfect Aguero replacement. And Man City is another team that really do need a top quality striker. So there's going to be so many people. I can't see this guy being available and Man City not looking, Chelsea not looking, Man United not looking, Liverpool not looking. Liverpool, look at Liverpool with Firmino, like everyone needs a Haaland.
Can I say something on that, Jim? I actually think I have a theory. So my theory is that he stays at Dortmund for another season due to the clubs haven't got a lot of money right now to be out and buying players. Like I think Riola's advice to him would be stay at Dortmund another season, and see how the big summer transfer window is the following summer. So you have those options. You can see what's about because right now if he moves, he has got a limited choice, I think, from a lot of clubs. I mean, you look at the Barca's, they need to make money, they need to take players out. They probably can't in terms of wages unless they move players on. Like, don't get me wrong, if they were to move a Messi on, that's a very different situation at Barcelona. You got the Juventus. Then they're not exactly wide open to take players in and put them on big wages. So I think he will stay another year at Dortmund, is my theory. When you look at it as a business, unless Haaland actually puts in a transfer request and says, I want to go and play for Man City or Man United, and they're willing to pay for it, he stays, in my opinion.
Fair enough. I hear you. Velvishan's got one more question for you. Alex, any news on, I can't even pronounce his name, Pig?
Ricky Pug. Sorry to disappoint, mate. I don't know too much about Pig. No, Ricky Pug. Barcelona midfielder. What I do know, he's got really good dribble numbers. He looks like he was going to be loaned out this summer, this window, maybe to Arsenal. But I think now Odegaard's come in. That's probably written it off. I think. But on the just what Indiana was saying about Haaland, I think you're spot on there, mate. Especially since Haaland might look at what Havertz had last summer, where the only person in the queue was Chelsea because they're the only people able to spend the money. And you might think, okay, I'm going to wait until I've got all the offers. And also it depends how well his head's screwed on. Like Nagelsmann, who before he moved to RB Leipzig was offered the job at Real Madrid and said, I'm going to build my career up first before I take such a giant leap.
Yeah, I hear you. Listen, guys, appreciate it. We've hit an hour. Great show. To be honest, I could do another hour of this. I love it. You know what I mean? Listening and learning. Alex giving us ideas on players that are young and upcoming talents as well, which you've got to bear in mind. And this is why I love getting Alex on. And
he's the best young and upcoming talent. This kid, right?
He is.
He just knows it. Incredible.
Absolutely incredible. We didn't mention Odegaard quickly. Arsenal fans want to talk about him. I mean, much to say, Alex, about Odegaard to Arsenal?
Is exactly what they need. I mean, just quickly look, Arsenal have got. Arsenal are 13th in the league for key passes, which is a pass leading to a shot. Considering the amount of possession they have, that's appalling. That basically means they're creating nothing. So Odegaard coming in, he's come off a brilliant season in Real Sociedad, struggled a bit in Real Madrid because Zidane doesn't seem to trust him. I think it's a really, really positive move for Arsenal. And Odegaard will be coming with something to prove. It's not going to be a player who's just going to soak up wages. This should be... I'm very excited to see it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about him. Again, all I know is he was a young talent coming into Real Madrid that was popped to be the next big thing at the time. And from what I understand, he's gone sort of up, and it's been like a roller coaster for a minute.
It's
really
what Renato Sanchez feel about it.
Yeah,
with him,
definitely.
with his career. It's I'd be interested for him. I hope he nails it. For Arsenal, I hope he flops. I can't lie. It goes back to Real Madrid.
Yeah, definitely. Alex is a future pundit, is what they say here. Listen, look, people, it was our second global show. It's something that we're going to continue doing at GNA TV. We're also going to probably look to get Alex on a new show that me and Indiana are talking about over on First 11, which you guys need to all check out and subscribe. There's been 25 of you here all the way through, which was been great, really. We appreciate that, if you're tuning in and watching. We hit at highs of 35, 40, which was good today as well. We appreciate it. Indiana, Alex, as always, I appreciate you coming in and giving us knowledge, really, giving us some knowledge on around football. And Alex, I mean,
he's not talking
Indiana,
about me, though. He's talking about you. You know that, yeah. The whole knowledge thing of football. That was all you.
You guys don't sell yourself too short. Everyone's got something to offer in this game. Jem, you know a lot of stuff that I don't. Indiana, you know a lot of stuff that I don't. All this is coming together with it. So I think
it's a great show. Everyone's shouting out the show at the moment in the comments, and that's a really good sign because it's something that I think we miss. It's not something that you see a lot on YouTube, and it's important. And I think people want to know this stuff as well and look out. And now what Alex has done is given the viewers something to do, which means going on YouTube and writing these players in and watching them. Do you know what I mean? And learning about them, and it's nice. And that's what it's about. And that was the whole point of doing this as well with Alex as well. And Alex says, nice show as well. Appreciate it. Indiana, where can people find you, bro?
You can find me on the Football Terrace. You can find me on GNA TV quite a lot. I do a player rating show with ads. Obviously, Man United. Jumping with Jem whenever he asks me to. And you can find me on the First XI, the First 11. So normally live at 10 o'clock. Our next show will be tomorrow. That'll be Friday Night Fraud Watch. So come and check that out, please.
Yeah. I haven't got an OnlyFans page, Velvish1. You've got to stop saying this on stream, mate. I don't take pictures and charge people and stuff like that. That's not my thing, bro. DJ Subset is a great show, guys. Shout out to Alex, especially with all the updates. Respect, bro. What's this? Terry's gonna nick him from me. Could Alex answer my question before you end? Go on, Chelsea boy. Go on, really quickly. I'll let you have the last question, and then Alex is going to shout out his socials, and we're going to tie this one up.
Yeah. In the meantime, Indiana, whoever came up with Friday Night Fraud Watch, that's a genius name. My marketing brain is rating that.
He's the genius behind
genius.
it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and
Actually,
people
maybe
need
it might be quite good as we take the show forward to get you on at some point when you can come and help me and Jem sort of like judge some frauds and bring some actual background to things. Maybe we'll do like a French league special or something like that, a European special.
I'm open
That'd
to
be
anything.
good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it'd be
Keep in
good.
contact.
All right, so here it is. Are Chelsea after any CDMs in the summer? You have to
We know they're not after Rice, but
Imagine if they bought him now. That'd be so fun.
that'd be fantastic. I want them to buy Rice. It'd be hilarious. I see Mourinho's face in the press conference. No, I think the inside sources say they are actually after a CDM. It's what was said in the Athletic. They are after a centre defensive midfielder, just not Rice. That's the one they're ruling out. So, and I think if Chelsea have a good recruitment policy, so they'll look at their team and they'll say, okay, we don't need another striker. We don't need another blah, blah, blah. They'll get a solid centre defensive midfielder.
Fair enough. Indiana, there's one for you there, mate, as well. Velshan saying about the daily
Yeah,
podcast.
this is Cam's idea. So we're all fathers, got young children. It's kind of I'd say laid back, but again, it's got Cam in it, so it's not going to be too laid back. But so it should be funny, it should be humorous. Just talking about fatherhood really, and our kids and the day to day with work and football and streaming and it should be a good show. Go and check that out, please, people, and look out for my tweets, and I'm sure Jem will retweet it.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Definitely, Alex. Where can they find you, bro? Where can everyone find you?
Firstly on GNA TV, make sure you subscribe. Going to be here as regular as possible, and at EuroExpert_ on Twitter. Anything and everything that I'll be doing, you can find there. And also, I make a couple videos for a channel called Content to Aspire Soccer. They'll appreciate me shouting that out. But first, make sure you subscribe here.
Wicked. We've got some really stupid people in the comments at the moment, with winding me up with stuff. But will we get rid of Kepa in the summer? Please say yes, Alex. Well, I hope we do, mate. I tell you, you need to dump him.
Arsenal will probably buy him.
Yeah, Arsenal will probably buy him, definitely. But guys, we appreciate your support as always. You can find me, and Sophia, in the description below. Our Twitter links are there. We've also got a Discord channel as well. So if you want to continue with the chat, you can tune in over there and have your says and ask questions and mix and mingle and whatever. Yeah. But guys, we will be back probably later on this evening. Yeah, thank you for coming on, both of you guys. And again, we'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.
It's like it's free time and it's free time. In the dance, they have a talk of clowns, we stepping out the